Yo, YouTube. By the time you see this video, it's probably gonna be ahead of schedule with other videos. I've been slacking because I've been trying to make them edited. I've been trying to but I produce way too many. So I think I'm gonna focus on making like one big video essay for the month or maybe a week, and then just drop the regular episodes and the regular clips and shit, because I done missed out on so much, and that's my fault. That's really my fault. So by the time you see this video, hopefully I'm in the middle of my big upload schedule steam where everything comes up at 9 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna see. I want to talk to you about the Cat in the Cradle. Again, you haven't seen my first Cat in the Cradle. Cat in the Cradle. Cat in the Cradle video. You haven't seen it yet, which is fine. But you can watch this one. I want to talk to you about, or I would like to converse with you about people like Destiny, Brianna Wu, Aristocracy, a lot of these political names that you've seen, Kidology, a lot of these weird, very antagonistic voices that exist within the left-wing space. And as I think about maybe, I want to say, the way the world works, and how we are consistently every single day conditioned to believe that what we are is the best we'll get. And I was truly never really a fan of the idea that at some point or another, there was always going to be this necessary need to, as a viewer, as a chatter, as a person, when you want to embark on a learning experience, at this age, I would be safe to assume that you probably find most of your information on the internet. And so when the question comes up as to why do certain political voices talk about certain things, have certain ways of discussing certain events, certain theories, you get really put into a place where the majority of what you see on the internet makes you question whether or not it actually has impact in the real world, because as I've told you before, my friends have been radicalized by Matt Walsh. And a question that has come up a lot is, well, why should you be one of the voices? Aren't you just another voice in the void? Aren't you just another person that's outside the realm of conversation, or outside the realm of what the mainstream talks about? Aren't you just another cog in the machine? I've said before that a lot of yous is zombies. A lot of y'all's is impatient. You're impatient, petulant babies. And as a content creator to another content creator, I never want to do anything where it's I want to say something that could affect somebody's bread, because we all broke out here. We all try to make it. Those of y'all who have made it, those of y'all who have, quote unquote, been able to find a consistent revenue stream doing the thing that you love. And I assume it's a thing that you love, because most people don't come into broadcasting if it's not their main passion, because you got to really be on your P's and Q's. Sorry, I'm wavy today. I did my hair. I'm wavy today. And when given the opportunity, there are some times where some people just don't have the ability to handle certain situations. That is a given. That is humanity. A lot of what I'm about to talk about is going to sound very familiar to how your friends have probably acted in certain situations, or that time you were 19 and got drunk and totally passed out, and your friends were dickheads and left you on a freeway type memories. But we're also approaching a time where a lot of this stuff that I'm about to talk about happens every day. And the fatigue on building examples and lists What I'm about to say to you for the next possibly 5 to 10 minutes is going to come across very bitter. It's going to come across very sour. That's why I preface this entire video with like a small background explanation on where my mind was headed when I decided to like think about making this video. I do not think it is within let's say politically awake people to ever give credence or ever listen to anyone surrounded in the DGG orbit. Immediately, LSF and the rest of them are swarming. Immediately, everybody's complaining. Why should we never listen to him? It's not like any of them are ever wrong completely 100% of the time. We are now talking about actions. It is totally fine to be a shit poster on the internet. It is weird if you are the president and a shit poster. You just had that for 4 years. Hell, you technically have never stopped having that since 2015. Let's get that on. Let's just throw that in the mix for a little bit. I do not think that people who care about politics should have a two-faced approach to the way they live their lives. You cannot be a Destiny-esque person and not recognize, like, on a outside of entertainment level, what I am doing, the culture that I am enhancing, I am cultivating. It's not that it's toxic, it's that it's broken at its core. Hank Green just talked about this, how identities around, like, or he calls it seroposial, which I really like, around parasocial relationships. We have a responsibility as live streamers to always be responsible for every single word that comes out of our mouth. I have said multiple times over and over again that I am grateful for any type of airtime that I get, because that is much more privileged of a life that I could ever say I was ever going to live, compared to a bunch of people who probably have a lot to say but could never get up in front of a camera, people who probably got a lot to say but couldn't find the time, people who got a lot to say but can't afford the stuff. So it does not go without mentioning that what I'm going to say comes from understanding both sides of knowing what it is like to not only be in a position of privilege, to have a little bit of power where people listen to your words, but to have control over a group. You are effectively a teacher. You are teaching it, you have a classroom. I do not find the worthiness in engaging with a political entity or a set of political entities that fall into traps of, and this is part one of this entire video, so I guess it's going to be a little bit longer than 10-15 minutes. We'll see. The mere idea that given a round of circumstances, the amount of people that we apply a larger than life thought to. So, to put it in perspective, Hassan Piker, Ukraine. Everybody goes back and forth about how Hassan got it wrong, Hassan got it right, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit? I don't give a shit. There's nothing that Hassan Piker or Stephen Bonnell will ever say that would make Vladimir fucking Putin look over and be like, I shouldn't do this. So, smaller scale, you have a nice niche dedicated slice of the 1% of the internet, because as you know, most of the websites that we visit online are only 1% of the iceberg of the internet. There are sites that do not begin in www. There are unlisted sites. There's a Tor browser. There's billions of people at any given shot. So if you can corner 25 to 50,000, if your subscribers on YouTube are at 1-2 mil, you have a very select piece of the internet that, even though there's not a million people who are subscribed to you, because people can make dual accounts, people can make triple accounts, people could be bot farming you would never know, you're not checking the ID anyway. You have a responsibility. Once people associate you with something that they believe that you are well versed in, take fighting. The FGC goes through this literally every other week. Literally every other week. Daigo's fire, but he'll lose a tournament and people are like, oh, Daigo's washed up. If Daigo came to stream and started talking about like Japanese imperialism and how it transformed the West, and then started talking about geopolitics, people be like, what? Not because they don't like him, and it's not because they don't trust him. He spent most of his time and expertise doing one specific thing. The audience will go along with it because they assume, well, if you chose to do this, then it must be something important. You're not going to get everybody, of course, but you're going to get a few. Then if you start bullshitting, everybody's wondering, well, why did you switch over to this if you have no idea what you were talking about? YouTubers don't have to worry about this. Switching your content slide over is easy as making another channel. Switching your content over to another place is as easy as saying, hey, for the month of February, we're doing this type of video until I get back to the other 11 months, or every 3 months, or I set up a schedule. If you brace your audience, you don't have an issue. Live streamers, however, do not have that grace. You cannot frame anything unless you script your videos and ignore chat and you just do it as a cut. If you interact with the live audience, your content takes a different turn no matter what you want to do. If somebody right now types the N word in chat, hard R, I could ignore it and keep talking. But you might have seen it before it gets deleted. The chat might have seen it. Somebody's going to say something about why would you allow that while you record. Somebody's going to say something. It's different than comments. It's different than react videos. It's different than everything. It's right there. And you are given a responsibility to not break that trust. If you continuously break that trust, I have to assume that what you're breaking is your actual core. If that is not true, then your responsibility has been split. Your core is split. Your entire core of what your community wraps itself around is split, which means you have no control. If you are a larger than life personality who can affect social change, i.e., most people ain't gonna get up and start talking about League of Legends in the middle of history class. But motherfuckers who watch Destiny and the rest of them are gonna talk about what Destiny said in history class. And don't say that isn't true, because I got a phone call from a longtime friend of mine who live in California, still to this day bugged me out because he said, yo, I put on a Destiny video and I was just watching because I had seen it in the recommended and I heard a voice come on and I was like, oh shit, that's Paradigm. He said my name. That's Paradigm. Imagine if I was like, yeah, I really hate the Jews. What do you mean by that? Golden question. Expand on that. But no, oh shit, that's you. So I'm listening to what you got to say because if you're talking, it must be important. That goes without saying. The moment you go live, the moment you publish a video, the moment you do anything, if you're important, that means that what you must be saying must be worth listening to. For people who have 1K subscribers, 500 subscribers, 4, 3, 2, 1, 50, 25, 10 subscribers, you might feel what you're saying is important, but it hasn't resonated with a larger crowd. People aren't looking your videos up for your takes. People aren't doing that. So being trapped within this small ecosphere of information, doesn't matter how talented you are, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what your accolades are, you are boxed in because there's never been an expansion of sorts. There hasn't been enough time. Now, that in itself is a lie. There's been plenty of time, but this goes into the entire argument against video essayists versus live stream political people. And then it's like video essayists don't always do video essays on fucking politics. And it's like, get out and just please, for the love of God, consume some other form of content. We are not at the stage where I believe people need to prove that they're smart. We are now at the stage where I need people to prove that they're not playing the rest of us stupid. Because as every single point, and this is the second part, at every single point where I have to take a look at what you've said, If every time it attaches itself to that's out of context, then either everyone's extremely malicious towards you or you have a specific niche, like, style of saying the most ridiculous shit and then smothering it with like actual reason. Cores. Oh, I guess this is part 3 because the first part was the core, the second part was what I just talked about, responsibility, and now the third part would be, yeah. You don't win this fight saying the most outlandish things. Like today, I woke up, and as I'm doing my daily, little scrolls, trying to see what's going on in the news or whatever, I see Brianna Wu talking about, I will no longer take advice from people who jerk off to childlike anime or something. And I'm like, you just sat up in front of a representative representing the progressive movement online, and you don't think not one of them niggas that ever watched that is going to follow you on Twitter, see that and be like, yo, what the fuck is going on? You openly call out pedophiles multiple times? I thought you were like an on the ground activist. What the hell is this internet? Somebody on the internet? Who is it? Drags them all in. At some point, you have to remember that not every thought needs to come out of your fucking mouth. And if you have a penchant to do so, then I either assume you are just a blabbermouth who doesn't know when to shut the fuck up, or you're doing it intentionally because you don't know when to shut the fuck up. Which leads me to my final point. If you made it all the way through this video to this point, I have one last request from you, one last purpose for you. Analyze every single situation you are in or you are around when you surround yourself with this orbit. And ask yourself, do I feel better after like looking at all of this stuff? Or do I purely enjoy the blood sport of it? Because if that's the case, there are more hostile, welcoming. Go join Low Tier Gods chat. There are places for you to act this out without you having to be a fucking Nazi. There are places acting out where you don't have to see the like dragging down of a human being, quite specifically because they said something in a React video I didn't like. Nobody phone calls, nobody texts, nobody DMs. You're leaking DMs, no worthy in talking to anybody. You're recording conversations, and then the first thing you do is, I'm gonna put it on Twitch. I'm gonna put it on Twitter. I'm going to expose you. You niggas is making tops 2 stacks a month. Seek fucking help. And just ask yourself, do any of these people actually like fully go with the reason I'm here? Or do I need to reanalyze the reason I'm here? Fucking weirdos, man.